of things about crime to be understood is that world law, once it's enforced, once it's created, the primary method of punishment for a world leader is the removal of their leadership from a nation. In other words, a nation has to have a vote, or whatever it is a nation does to create a leader. They have to choose somebody else. And whether or not they can do that, or whether or not they need help, is up to you. If you enforce the law, you have to create that situation. So, and the same is true for all aspects of life. In other words, the people, the dead corpse that washes all over, Israel and in the Arab nations over there. There is a limit to how much you can attack somebody for attacking you, and whether or not they set up the attack in the first place is a whole other issue. But the end result is that we have to make the punishment fit the crime. You have to make the punishment fit the crime. And hate is hate is hate, and so hate should live together. Only hate can live there. And if hate lives with hate, they would just kill themselves if they can't go attack somebody else. So it's a good solution to all of it, actually. So, but the end result is, of course, that we have to change everything. We have to change everything. The punishment for drunken driving should not be anything else. There's a lot of difference between a really drunk driver and somebody who is declared to be just over the line. Those who are declared to be just over the line, if they are not used to alcohol at all, are very incapable right away. If you're used to alcohol, just over the line doesn't make any difference at all to what you're doing or not doing, because that's just how it is. So it really depends upon what is constant and what is true for you. And so we need to understand that the people who yell, they have a choice. They can call a cab or some such thing. That's not a choice. That's not a choice. They cannot call a cab or something. Most of them are depressed. Most of them get drunk or have a reason for being drunk. And if they leave their car where it's parked, it's probably going to be vandalized. Come back the next morning and there will be no motor, no battery, no this, no that, no tires, windows broken out, and so on. In a lot of cases that would be true, because there are many thieves, and that's of course because of university corruption. The thieves everywhere. Thieves everywhere because of the intellectual mazes created. The competition that they create in the world of failure that they are part of. Failure. Nonetheless, we need to identify what is or is not true, and of course, the more you are incapable of driving a car, the greater the punishment should be. One of the punishments of that is not to attack people, which is what happens today. They went to court to test a stop sign case, and the end result of that was that there was so much corruption in the court that it was just abandoned. Too much corruption to bother with. You can't get justice out of a corrupt court. There's no point. It's not going to happen. So I let it go. But the end result of it is that a punishment, if it ain't the same punishment if you attack a poor person and a rich person with the same actual fine. It ain't the same punishment. If you make a poor man pay what will cost him his home, and a rich man pay the same thing, which he won't even notice. These are not the same punishments. And the court knows it. And so we have to have a new way of doing things. And we have to actually create an understanding that If we let this one drive, which is too old to drive, or under the influence of prescription drugs or the influence of other drugs or whatever, you can't make one little group the entire enemy of the entire society when everybody else is doing it in one form or another. Distracted driving is a distinct choice, although sometimes that's less than a choice, because it's about the world is affecting you. However, if you're using a cell phone and you're trying to text with a cell phone and so on, that's the very same thing as driving with when you're drunk. You are not fully capable of realizing what is in front of you because your head is in the phone and you have abandoned the road. You can't do it, stop it, or be treated exactly the way drunk drivers are. That is a realistic answer to the problem. This is your choice. You made the choice. That was your choice. And these are the consequences of your choice, and so on. At any rate, we need to make different punishments. And one of the punishments that is most realistic to our world is to let somebody make a journey on foot. My answer to a lot of the problems of policing or a lot of the problems of crime is that if you deserve it, you can make a 100-mile trip on foot, and we'll provide you a little water and a little bread to make the journey. But that's all you get. And if you don't make the journey, then you don't get go to prison instead. And if there's a pedophile out there, and you prove it's a pedophile and what have you, then you don't need you get a vasectomy. That's your choice. You get a vasectomy because we're not going to pay for you to be behind bars for years. You get a vasectomy, which means that, contrary to what the universities say, a vasectomy removes the chemicals that make sex pleasurable. It removes them. It takes them away. You don't have them anymore, and that means that you don't want sex anymore because there is no fun to it. It's just hot, sticky work. And so pedophilia stops, as do many things. And a lot of the unfortunate problems of a vasectomy is that a lot of people have been killed for that. A lot of marriages have completely fallen apart. Their families have completely fallen apart. You don't get anything with the vasectomy that you want. You don't get it. It's just a lie, another lie. And another constant of media contamination of life in society. You have to accept the fact that this is not going to be the answer. It's not. It just takes away sex. And if you take away sex from the men, it takes away sex from the women who are their partners. And then the end result is that there's a lot of grief and a lot of trouble and a lot of everything. And crime begins in some ways, in some forms, and people get so upset that they even shoot each other. So you can't have an easy answer, or the easy answer to certain sexual crimes is a vasectomy, because they're going to stop. You can, been around livestock, and if you give them a vasectomy when they're young in particular, they're not going to try to have sex after that. They'll just laze around and grow fat. But that's a whole nother thing. To have a valid, real world, actual result from punishment and crime, we have to accept that there is a value to the idea of punishment. And we can't do that because the end result is power doesn't want that. Power likes crime. Power creates the job of a policeman. Power creates, or it doesn't actually, crime creates the job of a policeman. Power creates the job of those who want to be rulers. There's a very big difference in that. So we want to limit how much power they have. We really, really do. And we want to, accept the fact that we can't just decide to punish someone by throwing them away. They have a life. They have a family. You have to make a crime fit, the punishment fit the crime, and you have to not take their life away. You have to give them some hope for the future, and if you find hate instead, you have to throw that away. That life is no longer valid. It's no longer valid. That life can be removed, and it doesn't matter if they created a crime. Hate is enough. That is a crime enough against society itself. You have to stop that. Or you can't fix the world. You have to stop hate, and that means you have to separate it out, so that, in fact, there is a difference between them and us, so to speak. Try to think about it for a while. Battery is running out.